How to eliminate the deficit and create a transparent economy at the same time. Okay, so while Excel Technology's patent for the system clock is currently pending, Equal Currency has already gone ahead and finished taking the step to apply this technology to its first application ever in economics. In brief, the system clock is the device that is responsible for perpetually assembling equal currency's sole constituent element, that being the transaction ID of what computer scientists term as a spatial database. A spatial database contains data that is related to space. Space, as most people understand, refers to something that has length, width, and height, but these three dimensions are identical to one another with the exception that they perpendicularly point in different directions. Therefore, space and time actually really refer to the same thing, since what we perceive as space is entirely dependent upon what we understand as time. It is by this principle that Excel Technologies is able to dispense with this concept of space and instead focus on its substitution with the one single dimension we call time. By doing this, the system clock takes the creation of a spatial database to the ultimate degree via this substitution of space for time in the form of representing it as a fixed line segment. In other words, a single line segment represents a single unit of time, as in 1 second. And when an economic event occurs, that event is recorded with respect to time, again in the form of this single line segment. Physicists, observe the length scale. Accountants, please observe how source documents and the concept of money are now merged. And finally, to all you mathematicians and computer geeks, get your topology engines fired up because there will be plenty of road to travel. In adding up all these little geometric units of information that result from transactions from past to present, Equal Currency's application of the system clock establishes what is an economic continuum in the form of a spatial database that allows for error-free observation and analysis of everything occurring within the system because it preserves the all-encompassing law of conservation of energy. And it is because the system clock preserves this law throughout the entire system that any and all expected events that are defined by its users, we're talking about promises here, such as paying a tax or a dividend, are completely automated. This feature thereby eliminates any need of high transaction costs, and of course, there is the more crippling matter of infidelity, meaning a tax is meant to be paid here, but I choose not to do it, or investors expected us to earn a higher profit this quarter, therefore we choose to lie about our performance. Or the cost of a fiscal policy was promised to be X, but for some unknown reason, or one we don't want to disclose, it's really costing Y. Basically, what we expect from the universe when all things happen, we can now expect from our own economy while being completely apprised of all such events that the public has a right to observe and have explained without error or ambiguity. Credit scoring in its truest form, which is a measure of fidelity to a promise involving the future, can then be performed by anyone on everyone instead of only a handful of people on literally everyone else. All this, in sum, is now possible and will do away with a great deal of trouble that currently encrusts the eye with which we use to observe the system today. Before you know it, all web mapping services will, instead of just showing you vehicle traffic, will be able to access Equal Currency's spatial database to deliver you real-time revenue, expense, and profit traffic within any geographical and demographical sector imaginable, including government. It is with this kind of economic access that you'll never again have to roll down the window of your investment vehicle to tell Wall Street and whatever else takes up a big waste of space time to say, hey, get out of my way. I'm trying to make a profit over here. That's my New York accent for you, by the way. Of course, profit in this case means to earn a return by way of your own informed choices and your own actions in general, and that just doesn't have to be financial. Make full access to the truth of reality by contacting your local, state, and federal representatives to ask them to adopt Equal Currency's system accounting platform. In doing so, disorganization and deception will be replaced with efficiency and truth, neither of which can be dispensed with since the complexity of our economy has outpaced our ability to understand what's actually taking place within. Equal Currency shows incontrovertibly that it eliminates this problem completely. Be mindful, however, that there are folks who can profit from keeping things the way they are, just as there are those like equal currency and everyone else who will profit from its change. All we ask is that you kindly observe the difference between how folks behave and stakeholders are affected when the light is kept off versus when it's turned on. This is where the concept of truth and its liberating promise will be tested, but will pass, because how many times have we repeatedly observed the all too predictable outcome that the truth never fails those who wish to embrace it? Yes, that was very poetic, but it was scripted. And so is this, and this, and this, and this, and this.